right down there. You know my trouble have just begun. The blues, baby. Hello, I'm Dr. Bill Deese, and I'm so happy to be here at the Dixie Theater. I'd like to thank Nick Lack for inviting me here today and sponsoring this program. We're going to have Monty Russell here in a little while, and what we're going to do today is attempt to show you how to build a diddley bow. Now, a diddley bow is a one-string guitar, and they were first made back in the old days out in the Delta by sharecroppers who couldn't afford to buy real guitars. And so they would take the wire-off brooms and tack it to the wall of the porch and push blocks of wood under it to make the string tight, and then they would play it and make rhythms, etc. And so that was the beginnings of diddley bows and cigar box type guitars. And so we're going to build one a lot like this one today. It's got one string, and there are no frets, so the way you change the notes on the string is to use the slide. Now, back in the old days, they often used a pocket knife or a piece of bottle top or something like that, or a piece of metal pipe. Something that just had a hard, smooth surface would work. Now, this is a fancy, modern slide. It's made of glass, and it'll fit over your finger like so. And so a lot of guitar players use this. And so if you want to change a note, you just touch the string with that slide, like. Okay, and so hopefully we'll get this put together pretty soon, and we'll have Monty here, who is actually a musician, and he'll be able to play a tune for us on the diddley bow. Okay, I'm going to briefly go over the materials you'll need to build your very own diddley bow. Of course, the best thing to have is a cigar box. Now, I bought this as a craft box, but all it is a cigar box. You've seen those before. You don't have to pay money for these. If you know someone that smokes cigars, they're bound to have some cigar boxes laying around, or any wooden box will do, or even a heavy cardboard box. But the wooden ones are a little more durable and they work better. So you need a cigar box, all right? You're going to need either a broom handle for the neck, or I bought this. This is a 3/4 inch dowel that I bought at a building store, okay? And this is about 3 feet long. And so as long as it's 30 to 36 inches long, that should be plenty, okay? And you'll need a hose clamp. That's about a 1.5 inch hose clamp, and that'll go on the end. We'll show you what that's for after a while. You'll need a few wood screws. I've got 2 or 3 wood screws here. The size is not super important. You just don't want real big ones, okay? You're going to need something to use for the bridge. Whoa. And a nut with a bolt on the end of it works great. That's what I have on the one I brought in to demonstrate, okay? Or you can use, this is just another bolt, and it'll make a good bridge. And you know, almost anything that'll keep the strings up off the box, all right? And then I've got a piece of leather here. I'll make a strap on the end so you can hang it on the wall if you like. Of course, you're going to need a guitar string. It's not real important which one. Once you get a little experience with your diddley bow or how it sounds, you may decide to put a heavier or a lighter string on it, okay? Did I mention we'll need some regular string? Now, this string doesn't stretch at all, and that's what you want. We're going to use this to measure with after a while. Okay, we mentioned the slide. Now you'll need a piece of sandpaper, that's good. All right, and I've got an electric drill, all right, and 2 or 3 different sizes of bits. I got a little bitty one to drill a pilot hole for our little screw. I've got a larger bit, I don't know what size, it's about that big, and I'm going to drill a hole to put the leather through, okay, like so, all right. And then I'm going to also, with this one, I'm going to drill a hole to string the guitar string through. Okay. And then I've got a 3/4 inch hole bit for drilling holes, and that's what I'm going to use to drill the sound hole, so it'll let more sound out of this box. You don't have to have a sound hole, but it's a little louder and a little richer sound if you have 1 or 2 sound holes, and it doesn't matter what shape or how big they are, really. You can put 2 or 3 if you like. It's just strictly up to you. There is no way to mess up a diddley bow, I can promise you that. You'll need a couple of different screwdrivers. This one is a Phillips and a flathead screwdriver. You might need one of each. And I've got a pencil here to make some marks, and a Sharpie, which I may or may not use. And so that's really all you need as far as materials. probably where you want to start, or where I usually start making my diddley bows, is drilling the holes in the box. And so there's a little bit of measurement can be involved here, or if you want to do like the sharecroppers did, like the original Delta blues musicians would do when they made a diddley bow, is they didn't measure anything. They just guessed where it went, and they usually got a beautiful instrument that sounded great. But you may want to measure if you like. But through the magic of video, I'm going to show you holes that are already drilled in this box. Are you ready? Voila. Okay, so to save a little time for us down here at the Dixie, I went ahead and drilled the holes at home this morning. All right, now the sound hole I made with a larger hole saw than this, okay? It's about 1 inch in diameter. It might be 1 1/4. It doesn't really matter, okay? Whatever size you have handy. And so I've seen some get some great big ones there or whatever, and it doesn't matter where you put it. I don't know why, but I usually put mine on the top left corner, if you hold it like that. So that's so that sound out. Now once you drill through that, you'll probably want to take some sandpaper and sand off the rough edges. There'll be some little splinters and everything. So it'll look better, and then you got less chance of getting a splinter, but that's also optional. You don't have to sand it if you don't want it. Now in the end, I have a hole in each end to stick our net through. Okay, this could be a broom handle off an old broom from home, or you could go buy one like this. Of course, this one will be real nice. All right, and so you want to use a bit that's the same size as the diameter of your wood dowel, okay? And I did that, all right, in each end. Now I measured where halfway across is. You don't have to measure, you can just guess. Believe me, it won't make a bit of difference in how it sounds. And you might even like the way it looks better. But I measured to try to get the center of that. Okay, and I like being able to open the box, okay? Now, when I first put this on here, put it into, you got a hole in each end, that makes 2 notches, right? And I put the neck in like so, and I close it over, and it didn't close all the way, all right? Which meant that the hole wasn't quite big enough. So you can either take a rasp or a piece of sandpaper, and take quite a while, make that hole a little larger. Or the easiest thing is to take some good rough sandpaper and make the stick smaller in diameter. And that's pretty easy to do on something that's perfectly round. So I sanded on this and sanded on this until it would fit right in the grooves there, and then the box would close almost airtight, and then the latch would fit like that. Okay? And so you can see that the neck is pretty much in there. Now, if I push that pretty hard, it'll slide. And yours might slide easier if the holes are a little bit bigger. And so what I'm going to do is put a wood screw right in here to hold it tight. All right? Okay, I guess I'll try that right now. Okay, so now you want about 3 inches sticking out the end. And so up here will be the neck, all right? And so it doesn't really matter where. Remember, it's a diddley bow, okay? And so I'm going to guess at where the center of this box is. And with the stick, with the neck in there, I'm going to go down. All right? If you don't drill that pilot hole, sometimes it'll crack open, and it's a lot easier to get in. And I've got my wood screw here. I hope that's a big enough, what do you call it, pilot hole. All right? So this is a Phillips screw, so I need a Phillips screwdriver, and we'll screw that in. It'll get a little tighter once it hits that hardwood stick there. Neck, we'll call it. Okay. All right, so there we are. That's not going anywhere. Okay. Now I'll show you how to put the string on your diddley bow. All right. Now first we need a hole down here at the bottom of the neck, and this is called the tail, I think, on the guitar. We'll get Mr. Russell here after a while to tell us all the names of all these parts. And this is where we're going to thread the guitar string through. All right? So I'm just going to go for it here. I'm just going to guess where the center of the stick is. Okay? Yeah, that went through. All right, there you go. And I'm just going to hit that a little bit with the sandpaper to get some of those little splinters off of there so it looks a little better, okay? And then, I think this is a D string off a regular set of guitar strings, but I'm not even sure. It doesn't matter. You can put one on there if you don't like the way it sounds, change to a different one. And so you stick that through the hole at the bottom, all right? And then the bead on the end of the guitar string is going to keep it from going all the way through, okay? All right, there you go. Now, up here, we're gonna put a screw to wrap this around, all right? Now, before we do that, we wanna take our hose clamp. It's gonna serve as the nut. That's the part that the strings lay across at the top on the upper end of your neck. And let's see if that's gonna fit. Yeah, that'll fit on there. Let me loosen it up just a little bit. It's a hose clamp. You can get them at any store, hardware store, department store. And this is about 1 inch in diameter there. I'm not sure. They come in all sizes. All right, we're gonna slide that down on the neck, down here somewhere, okay? Now this is a little bit tricky. What we wanna do, we're gonna guess right about there, okay? For the scale on our guitar, all right? That's probably about 25 or 26 inches. And we're gonna put a nail. Now what I found is a screw. If you put this screw in the dead center, the string's gonna wrap around it clockwise like that. And then you'll tighten it down. And that'll be a little bit off center. So you want your screw a little bit to the right of the way you're gonna wrap it. And so let me make a pilot hole up here. I'm just gonna guess, okay, if that's the center, can you see what I'm doing here? I'm gonna go over just a little bit to the side. Okay, then I'll put my screw in there. See, I'll probably put my Phillips screwdriver. Now, if you don't put a pilot hole in there, it might split this wood open. Then you'd need to either cut it off and make it shorter or start all over. Okay, now you screw it down most of the way, and then you want to pull your guitar string pretty well as tight as you can get it by hand, okay? And then, can you see that? You're gonna wrap around, you got it coming in close? You're gonna wrap around the screw 2 or 3 times. That's 3, let's go 4, all right? And hold that tight. That's not very tight. Let me try that again. Pull it real tight. See, that sounds better, doesn't it? All right, and so then I'm gonna screw this down, and that'll hold it down tight to the neck, and it should stay. It broke. Oh no. Good thing I brought another guitar string. I only have one more. All right. Hey, we're gonna have overs on that guitar string. This is a heavier guitar string. It's the only one I have, but it's probably less chance it'll break. And so I'll try to get it on there the first time and not put a kink in it. I think what I did is I made a kink in it that first time I put it on that screw. And then when I really mashed down on it, it broke. All right, so remember we got our, you wanna have your hose clamp on here before you put that screw in, okay? All right, so here we go, one more time. All right, and so, if we break this one, we will be waiting on Monty Russell, won't we? Okay, I won't go down as tight as I can. Let me get a little, all right. Well, it doesn't sound too bad. Okay, now let's take our nut and bolt. It doesn't matter what size this is. Sometimes a fatter nut will keep, I'll keep your strings further up off the guitar, and that might, but what happens is the string vibrates against this nut, this bolt, and it makes the top of the box vibrate, and that makes the sound, and then it comes out the sound hole. So you put that underneath, right about in the middle of your string, okay? Can you see how I'm doing that? All right, and then I'm gonna slide this down pretty good. And it doesn't matter where you stop, okay? That's get pretty tight. And then you bring your hose clamp here. I'm gonna tighten it down a little bit so it's not wobbly. And this will be the nut, and this is called the bridge on a guitar. Okay, and now I can slide that out. See, that's under the string, so that's gonna make it even tighter. Okay, and there again, you never know what it's gonna sound like till you get it put together. That doesn't sound too bad, does it? Okay, so there's our diddley bow, all right? Now, One thing I like to do is decorate this box. You might have noticed on the one I brought in to demonstrate, I had an old chemical emblem on there for gold. I didn't want gold on there necessarily, I just liked that emblem. And I made a guitar for Monty Russell, and I put his image on the front of it, off of his album cover. And so a lot of people paint it. Of course, you would do that before you put it together. You could paint this, you could write your name on it, you can do collage work on it, etc. And so, they don't look too bad just left natural like that. And of course, if you've got a real cigar box, it'll have decorations on it already, and that kind of gives it some flavor too. I like to hang diddley bows on the wall. I don't know why, but I do. And also, someday you might, if you play yours a lot, you might want to string a guitar strap on it or some leather, a piece of leather works great. And I've got a short piece of leather here, and I'm just going to make a loop on the end so it'd be easy to hang on the wall. Now, the first 2 or 3 I did, I drilled the hose straight through, and then when you'd hang it on a nail, they would try to twist. So, being a smart person, I realized if you turn it sideways and drill through the side, then the guitar will hang straight. And so I'm going to attempt to drill a hole. I've got a little bit larger hole, drill bit, okay, because the leather is bigger, a lot bigger than a guitar string. So if I don't mess up, here we go. Alrighty, okay. Now I'm going to get that with a little sandpaper and get the rough pieces off. All right, and then hopefully I'll be able to thread my leather through there. All right, and so now I'll just tie a square knot or something in the end. How about that? You can tie any knot you like, of course, and you can make this as short or long as you want. And you don't even, this is strictly optional here. You don't even have to put this in here. I just like having it. Okay, there you go. All right, so now you can hang that on a nail on the wall and it'll hang straight. Okay, now why don't I show now how to mark the important fret marks on our neck, because it helps you when you're going to play music. It helps you find the notes, the harmonics. And so we're only going to mark 3, okay? And so I'm going to take a piece of string. Now, I like this string because it doesn't stretch at all. You got to be careful. You get some string that'll stretch, and it's hard to do. And I just tied a knot in one end, all right, to make a marker. And I'm going to measure the distance from the nut down to the bridge, okay? And you want where the string crosses the nut, where I put that knot, and then I'm going to mark with my thumb here where it crosses the bridge, all right? And that's our scale length, okay? So I'm going to mark. And now I know the length of our scale. Okay, now the first fret we're going to mark is on a guitar would be called the 12th fret. And it's halfway between the nut and the bridge, okay? And so because, you know, when you thump a string, it's oscillating up and down. And if you get halfway and thump it, you'll get a harmonic, and you'll create 2 half wavelengths there. That's the physics of it. You can look that up. And so what you do is double your string, and that'll be half of our scale. And this is how far down from the bridge that you want, or the nut, that you want the 12th fret, okay? So now this doesn't have to be a real precise. It just gives you a ballpark range, because when you play with a slide, you've got some giveaway there. It's not like you're going to put a fret there that's always going to be there. But you want to get pretty close, okay? And so here is down to right there, all right? Now I'm going to mark that with a pencil so we can change it if we decide we need to. Okay? Now, hear that? Well, can you hear that sound? That's 1 octave higher than that. So that's pretty good placement for it there. Okay, now we want halfway from here to here, okay? And so that'll be another octave higher, I believe. Oh, I need my boss here who's a physicist. And he could tell me how incorrect the physics is of my little lesson. Okay, so there's halfway, and then we're going to mark 1/4 of the way. We're going to double that string again, okay? And so that should be halfway between here and here. Now, once again, we're just getting ballpark here, all right? So it's going to be right in there, and I'm going to mark that, okay? And so I believe that's the 5th fret on a guitar. But don't quote me on that. We'll get Monty Russell to straighten us out on that. So, you hear that? That's a higher, okay. All right, and then we want a third of the way from here to here, which is the 8th thread or the, I don't remember. Now the third of the way is tricky because you can't just fold it twice. Where's my string, my mark? Right there, okay? So I need to make this into thirds. So I want to go up and then back like this, and I need 3 equal lengths. This is not trivial. I'm getting close though. Right about like that. Okay, maybe a little more. Okay, that looks pretty good. So this distance is going to be about a third from here to here. And that should come down here somewhere. All right? So we're going to say it's right there. Once again, we're just getting ballpark here. All right. So that should be a harmonic too. Oh, that one sounds pretty good. All right. So now we can look at those. Now later on, once you decide this is where you want them, you can put a little finishing nail or something in there, or you can mark it with paint or with a Sharpie or whatever, or you can just leave the pencil marks. That'd be fine. And so there's your finished diddley bow with important fret marks marked. Halfway, fourth of the way, and a third of the way from the bridge, the nut down to the bridge. All right, well here we are back today, and I'm Bill Deese, of course, and this is the monster, Monty Russell. Future Louisiana Music Hall of Famer. I promise you that's true, all right? And he's a great friend. Everybody in Ruston knows him. In fact, you were a Ruston cop for several years, weren't you?
20 years to the minute.
All right, 20 years, all right. So he's been serving his community for 30, 40 years, was a high school football star at Ruston High, right?
I wouldn't go so that far.
Well, you played linebacker, right?
I played linebacker,
Okay.
offensive line.
There you go, all right. Well, and so here we are today. Now, Monty is a musician. He's going to take the diddley bow that we made yesterday, all right, and he's going to play a little bit and show us how to play it. And so, Monty, can you tell us a little bit about...
I can tell you a little bit about the easiest way, because of the as this is called, how the distance off of the fretboard. If you see that, that's called the action. What this that lies between whether it be your flat neck or your round neck, what lies between, and how hard it is to push down is the action. So Bill probably told you that a lot of these, back in the day were made with everything from gas cans, cigar boxes, just pieces of plywood, and oftentimes guys couldn't find strings, and so they got wire, barbed wire, then cut off the side, or fencing wire, whatever they could find, and to tune it up. So a true diddley bow is a 1-string. Bill made me this 3-string, which he tuned, and do more with chords. And it also shows you how you can kind of decorate that. Bill decorated that for me. And he even insulted me on the back by putting Fat Man.
Well, that's the name of his latest album. It's called Fat Man.
The name of the record's Fat Man.
And that's off the cover.
That's the cover of my latest record, so not an insult. But so the action is so high on a diddley bow. It took a lot of pressure to push this down. So you see down here, you can kind of make a note down here. But the further you go up, it's harder to push down. You can do it, but people started taking things like knife blades and
Coke
bottles, beer bottles, whatever they could find, pieces of glass, and eventually, what they were doing with Coke bottles and glass and whatever things they could find came to be. Throughout the progression of music, especially blues and rock and roll through the early part of the last century, to mimic those beer bottles and those pieces of glass and knives, the slide was invented. Okay, a lot of times slides were made out of old glass pill bottles. Okay, to cut the top off, sand them down. So what this does is to allow you to play this diddley bow without having to kill your fingers and put it down. If you can see, just by sliding it.
It sounds good too.
Right. Okay, so So the one thing, and we're going to get to where Bill had you mark your frets here yesterday, but one of the things is when you tune your diddley bow, if it's a true diddley bow and it's one string, whatever you have that tuned to, you can tune it up or down. I'm not sure exactly what. Oh, that's a G. So this I'm not sure exactly what that's tuned to, but it doesn't matter because one string is all you have, and you get all your notes off of one string. So if you play, let's say for instance we're in the tuning of E or G. If you play it open, it's gonna make a really cool sound just being played open. Okay, and you can do you can do all kinds of rhythmic patterns just with the one string. Okay, so I'm going to show you how to play more notes. If you know anything about guitar, great. If you don't, you don't have to know anything about guitar. Okay, Bill showed you yesterday how to mark the frets with the string. He had the string, and so this is we're at the 4th and 5th fret that he marked for us. Okay, so counting from the nut or the washer here that he put on. Okay, the open string. Think of that as number 1. That's a 1. Okay, and the first mark that he made, that's going to be your 4. Okay. See the change in the tone and the timbre. Back to the 1. On to the 4. Back to the 1. Okay, and then so the next mark is the 5th. Back to the 4. Okay, so one of the things about the slide, and it doesn't have to be a slide. If you have a case knife or a butter knife or anything, the way that I learned to play guitar when I was 7 or 8 years old, my grandfather tuned a regular guitar open, and I held it like this, like a steel guitar, and put his knife blade across the guitar. That's how I learned how to play the guitar. It was open, and then I could change by the frets. Okay, the distance between these two marks, and all if you can go ahead and you can, if you want to, mark the entire board. But these are the two main, the 4 and the 5 are the main things to have on the diddley bow. Okay, so in playing with the slide, one of the things, and I'm not by any means a really good slide player, but I can do it on the diddley bow, which is what makes it fun. Even though I'm not a good slide guitar player, I can do this. It's really fun. I can do this. Yeah. I can play it once in a while, and people say, "Wow, I didn't know you knew how to do that." Well, it's not that. It's just kind of a magic trick, kind of thing. So, in using the slide, okay, you put it on your pinky, or one if it fits, it won't fit around this finger, but I put it on the pinky. One of the things you do is you kind of mute, in order to get a certain sound, you mute the string with this finger behind the slide. Okay, so you lay one of the fingers without the glass, just in front of the fret, and then lay that down. Now, the cool thing about the wing is you can make all these slides up to the next, going up to the next note. See how cool that sounds?
Oh, yeah. That sounds cool.
Then we'll slide up. The idea of it. So the 1, 4, 5. The idea of that open note the 4th fret and the 5th fret, is what's called a number system. Okay, it allows oftentimes people in bands to communicate with one another. If somebody doesn't actually know the song,
Right.
Instead of saying it's in A, B, C, or D, okay, you can say it's in 1, 4, 5. No matter what key you're in, everybody knows what the 1, 4, and 5 is that are accomplished, you know, or have played music for a long time. So
Unless you're a drummer.
unless you're a drummer, it doesn't matter because the beat stays the same. The beat stays the same. So, one of the other things. So if I were you, after you make your diddly bow, I would, you know, for whatever opening tuning you have it, just practice making the sound, and then your right hand becomes important with the pick. You can do it with your fingers, but because of the action, because of the heavy gauge of the string, you need something to listen. So practice and just play around with like cool rhythms, just like. So obviously a downbeat, and then an upbeat. But then when you combine the down and up. Hold on. So practice, you know, learning how to lay your slide with one finger meeting just behind the slide, the finger kind of meeting it. I would take it and just start. 4, 1, 4, 5, 4, and back to the 1. So, as you can see, with the 1, 4, with knowing just a 1, 4, and 5 on a one-string guitar, there's hundreds of songs.
Play lots of blues songs.
Hundreds of songs.
And lots of rock songs.
Lots of rock songs.
Yeah.
You know, there's a. Oh, Black Betty, bam, bam. Oh, Black Betty, bam, 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 Betty had a child. Bam, 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 bang, went wild. Bam, bam. Oh, Black Betty. Oh, Black Betty. So, I mean, that's an example of, you know, that's a Lead Belly song from over in Shreveport, early 1900s.
Oh, man.
100 songs. And if you want to see somebody who's really accomplished at this, look up the North Mississippi All-Stars.
Oh, man.
Okay, and look up Luther Dickinson, who's a guitar player for the North Mississippi All-Stars, and he can play an entire night of rock and roll on a diddly bow. And check out some of his videos. There's a lot of videos online about how to play songs on a diddly bow, what kinds of songs. One of the things that, you know, was told to me in sometime in passing that by some people who accomplished it playing the diddly bow, you can add a pickup to this and play electric with it, add it to effects. You know, you can see Bill's playing a back of another diddly bow to give rhythm, but you can do something to accompany yourself, like with a coat case or a suitcase or anything that you can stomp on to keep time.
Stomp box.
Stomp box. So that's kind of can get you really going pretty quick. At the number 1 position, which is open, further up the neck, okay, the same notes exist further up the neck, okay? So here I am playing, if this is in an E, I think maybe. So right here at this spot, that's the same note. It's the same note at the other end. So that a lot of kids in the Delta would get a diddly bow and then start doing the jump rope songs that we're doing. If they were jump roping, somebody could make a percussive. And then you could sing children's songs to it. So the possibilities to be a musician with one string. To me, it's amazing. It's amazing. There's a lot of, classic recordings that are done with this one string diddley bow. So thanks for asking me to help. And
the great musician Bo Diddley.
Oh yeah, Bo
took
Diddley.
His stage name after the diddley bow. And so you can look up Bo Diddley if you like.
So he, and a lot of Bo Diddley songs were this as simple as hey Bo Diddley, hey Bo Diddley. A lot of them are one chord. So look up those guys like Luther Dickinson, Bo Diddley. Look up Bo Diddley. A lot of his songs are 1 and 2. And you'll find unlimited things to do.
At least 10 or 12 lessons right off the bat.
Right. Thank y'all for having me.
This was fun, wasn't it?
This was very fun. Oh, back then, bam, bam. Oh, back then, bam, bam. That lady had a child. Bam, 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 bang, went wild. Bam, bam. Oh, back then. Oh, back then. Oh, back then.